Well, Andrew, thank you again for joining us. Some exciting times that don't happen very often, every 4 years, and not many times for most of the athletes. So why don't you share with us where you're at right now, and what are your plans leading up to Beijing?
Yeah, so it is getting very close now. Head off to Beijing on Saturday, and then we land Sunday. So the first race for me is a week on Sunday, so it is drawing very close now. So yeah, I've been in Livigno at altitude in Italy since we last spoke. So I came straight from the Tour de Ski here, and I've been getting in decent amount of training. Did 2 weeks with a lot of volume, like 25-30 hours a week, and just 1 to 2 interval sessions. And now this last week I'm cutting down on the volume but doing a little bit more intensity work, so still just 2 interval sessions but a lot shorter, harder than the ones I was doing earlier in the cat or at altitude. And so yeah, training's been going good. The tracks in Livigno aren't the most exciting in the world. They're actually really nice, but there's only 30 kilometers. So when I've been here for a few weeks, I've done a lot of laps around the 30-kilometer loop here. So, but there's good snow and really good conditions, so I definitely can't complain. And yeah, so now the name of the game is basically just trying to stay healthy and avoid COVID, because yeah, it's really difficult to get to the games if you test positive for COVID. Now you have to have so many negative tests and things that it's difficult to get in, and there's so much going around in Europe at the moment that we have just basically isolated ourselves, formed a bubble with the team, and then within the team we're trying to stay away from each other and minimize contact as much as possible, just in case. So Andrew Young, one of the other guys on the team, he was meant to be coming out to Italy last week and joining us in the bubble here, but somehow he managed to get COVID before he came across. And he had been basically just isolating in a cabin in the mountains in Norway, and he'd been to the gym once and he'd been to the shop a few times, so he managed to get it there. So we're just basically dead worried about that, but fingers crossed, we're going to stay healthy. And then yeah, as I said, plan now is a couple of hard intensity sessions this week, running on the treadmill tomorrow. I like doing 1 running interval on the treadmill not so long before championships or before an important race, because or you can compare your times and your speeds that you normally run at, and also being in the warm in a gym where it's warmer means it's easier to get, or especially for me, I get a much higher heart rate easier, so I can have more time at a higher heart rate than if I'm outside where it's a little bit colder. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. And then Friday, the day before we leave, going to do a test race, a shortened down version of a skiathlon, so like a 15 to 20 kilometer all out effort. And because we're traveling to Beijing, I'm doing that slightly later than I normally would do. Normally I do before championships, I do a hard test race type thing 1 week before the first race of the championships. Now it's going to be 9 days, but then we've got jet lag and travel to get over, so that is the big difference. So once I've done the test race, that's pretty much it for hard stuff until the skiathlon at the Olympics. So we travel Saturday, get to Beijing Sunday. I'm going to have a couple of easy days just doing short hour skis to try and get over the jet lag. And then I'll have 4 days out from the race. I'll have a short interval session, but just like 3 times 3 minutes, super short, but really intense, just to get my lactate production system going, And generally after like a short, hard interval session like that, I'll feel really good. And then it's all just about maintaining form and staying recovered until the first race. So yeah, that is my very meandering description of what I've been doing for the last few weeks and what I'm going to be doing the next couple of weeks.
So have you been at that venue?
No, this is going to be our first time there, so we're not 100% sure what we can expect, because we were meant to be doing the test before every major championships. There's a test event the year before, but because of COVID, it got cancelled last year. So we have seen some photos and some dodgy videos that we've got pirated out of China of the courses. So we know what the courses look like, and we know the weather statistics, that it's going to be dry, and we've heard, and because it's basically a desert, so it's really cold, but there's not much precipitation, and it's windy, so there's a lot of dirt and sand blows around, so the snow is going to be really dirty and sandy. So it's going to be interesting for our waxers to get up there and find out what makes the skis go fast.
So do you have like a GPS data of the courses?
Yeah, so we've got all the GPS data, we've got maps, we've got the profiles, and so it looks like it's the 50k especially is going to be a hard race in terms of total climb. It's one of the 50Ks I've done with the most climb, and when we're altitude as well, it's gonna, and probably with slow abrasive snow, it's going to be an absolute sufferfest. So I don't think there's going to be a mass sprint at the end with 30 guys. I think it's going to split up a lot, and it's just going to be strongest wins.
Have you done any training on a similar terrain, like climbing, like specifically for those race courses? Or
I think, to be honest, it's more just about being in form. Like, there's more climb than in other 50Ks, but at the same time, it's just a normal cross-country course. So if you get there and in a good form, then it's not going to make that much of a difference if you've looked out some specific terrain for it. Maybe more in a sprint course type thing, if you want to practice on the specific type of courses and stuff, I think it makes more of a difference. But when you're a distance guy like me, I think it's just about doing as much as you can to be in as good form as possible. And here in Livigno, the choice of tracks we have for doing intervals on is fairly limited, because either there's a long flat course up and down the valley, or there's a really short little hilly bit on the side of the valley. And if you're doing intervals, you just got to use the short hilly bit. So recreating the Olympic course isn't the easiest on that.
So with the Tour de Ski, did everything there went as you kind of were hoping, or?
The Tour de Ski was a roller coaster of emotions for me. I got there and I was feeling like form was really good. First race was a sprint, and it didn't go that well, but for me, I can be in good form, and I'm a bit too old and too slow to go fast in the sprint, so I wasn't so worried. Second day was 15k classic, zero conditions, so everybody was stressing with the skis and stuff, and I had a super fast set of skis, but had probably gone a little bit too fine on the sanding underneath, so I didn't have great grip. But I was on for a solid race anyway. For me, I was lying. I think I probably would have ended up somewhere between 10 and 15, and with like 3 kilometers to go, I managed to ski out on one of the corners and like off the artificial snow, landed on my butt and had to like climb back onto the course. And then I ended up just losing quite a bit of time from that, and so I ended up like in 20 something's position, which was ridiculous. It was just, and like it was snowing a lot, so it wasn't exactly like the most difficult corner to get around ever, because it was slow conditions. So I still do not understand how on earth I managed to ski off the track. So that wasn't great. Then we headed from Switzerland, where we started, did the first 2 races, to Germany. had a 15K mass start skate there, and that went really good. It was actually a fairly easy course, so everyone was expecting a bunch sprint, but Bolshinov started going really fast on the last lap, and then it just blew up. The field blew up, and then there were 4 of us in the lead group. And I thought I was going to win. And I led up the last long hill, took the lead over the top, and then there's big fast descent with some tricky corners, and Johannes Klabo was in the group, and I knew he's the best down the hill, and I just had to be in front of him over the top of the hill, so then he had to go past me rather than me attempting to keep up with him down the hill, and he got past and clear and was never not going to win after that. And then it was Shure, the Norwegian, Bolshinov, and me fighting for the second place, and I had just used a wee bit too much gas up the last long hill, so they were just quicker than me into the stadium, and then I was a few meters behind. But still, it was shape felt absolute dead good, and I was really pleased with how things were going. So the next day was classic sprint. I was absolutely useless, but I quite often am at classic sprint, so I wasn't so worried. Then we headed off for the last 2 stages in Val di Fiemme, and 15K classic mass start was the second to last day, and there I was feeling good, primed and ready. I thought, if there's one classic course in the world that suits me, it's the course in Val di Fiemme, and I was convinced I was going to win before the start. And then this year I've just been struggling a wee bit with my classic technique, so I think went out with the waxers, and I was just not that confident on my skis and the grip, so I got them to put on a couple more layers of wax, and then we went out the start on the race, and I just knew that, oh dear, I put way too much wax on the skis, because I could feel it double pole, and the skis were so slow, and then we got to the first downhill, and everybody just went about twice the speed of me, so then the whole race was just ruined, and it wasn't even the wax's fault. It was my own fault for just telling them to put more wax on. So that ended up being a stress. And then final day was hill climb, and who knows what I was doing on the flat. There's like 6-7K flat before you get to the final hill, where it just goes straight up the GS slope. And so I was almost last by the time we got to the bottom of the giant slalom slope, and I do not know how. I was just faffing around and managed to get to the back of the pack. So I was in about 50th position, and then I managed to ski quite well up the hill and move myself up to 12th, 13th at the top, which was an all right result, but like should have been better if I just wasn't being such a faffer on the flat. So in general, the results from the tour were pretty terrible, but I feel like my shape was much better than the results showed. So I'm confident that my shape's good going into the Olympics, but I've just got to learn to ski better classic. But I've been doing a lot of technical work with the coach while I've been here, and I feel like that is much better than it's been earlier in the season. And I've just got to not faff around like he did on the last day and end up miles behind in the pack. But that, I think, with just a bit more focus with it being the Olympics, should be better. So,
Stay on the course.
Stay on the course also. That is that I will do. That is a very good tip for anybody wanting to do well in races. Don't fall over. I just got a good luck message on the chat, so thank you very much for that. I'm looking forward to heading off. I think it should be good. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to have a chat with you guys in a few weeks after the games, and I can let you know how it's been. We are all very interested as to how it's going to be, because we've been told that just with COVID and everything, and with there being so much COVID in Europe, and China having the zero COVID policy that they've got, that we've just got to look forward to 3 weeks of living in a concentration camp. Yeah. So, and there's not going to be any spectators, so it's not going to be like the same Olympic atmosphere as you think when you look back at some of the bigger European Olympics and some of the North American Olympics. But for us athletes, we still know that it's the competition that everybody's been focusing on for the last couple of years, that it's the biggest thing we're going to be doing. So for us, the competitions are still going to be as big, as important. So I don't think for us it's going to make that massive of difference, but it's not going to be the same atmosphere when you're watching on TV, definitely. So it's a bit of a shame, but we should count ourselves lucky that we're getting to race at least.
Yeah. Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be talking after the games then.
Yeah, we will do. And so good luck, everybody, for the training for the next few weeks. If you've got any races coming up, then go fast and yeah, make the most of the snow that you guys have now.